A continuación, nos va a aportar la visión del valor de la carga ultrarrápida y su potencial en proyectos de la Unión Europea, Mr. Helmut Morsi, que es asesor y director coordinador para la innovación de la Comisión Europea en la DG Move. Mr. Morsi, please.
Okay. Well, we have afternoon already. Good afternoon, then. Very happy to be here. Honored to be your speaker. Just before lunch, huh? I think it's coming also. Yes, I'm here to present a very large program, as you know. Congratulations to the organizer. It's very well done. Very nice conference center. We have even more space here for more. This is only the small set, huh? Is the small, but it's full house. Huh? Looks good. I will focus on innovation today and on the future, the value of ultracharging technology and its potential for European projects. A very nice title, invented by the organizer, and it's great to be here in Asturias. A beautiful region, which deserves also to be fully on board in this important transition to alternative fuels and alternative energy, which is very strongly connected. I will have my first slide, is the summary of the presentation. So we will first see a little bit the TEN-T and CEF history. I will just say a few words that you understand better what comes afterwards on the program in general. Then, of course, on innovation, fast to ultracharging to synergy. It's this way of progress in the last years we have seen. Then I will come to the CEF synergy projects, because these are the most advanced projects. And then I would like to say one or two slides how we organize strong private investment, which is the key of this program, because we are not funding research, as you know, we are funding deployment. That means there's a very strong input from the private sector in financing terms. And then also I would like to say a few words on future funding, because I'm sure this is of your interest. So immediately the first slide on CEF and TEN-T innovation history. As I said, the CEF and TEN-T program is very large. Its innovation is only up to 5% of the budget. So 95% we're spending on digging holes in the ground, I say, you know, tunnels, ports, terminals, rail connections. I'm sure you know that. A lot have been also invested in Spain. You have seen a lot of fast trains, and all this is all what is the key of the essence of the TEN-T program, which started in 1993. It's a long time this program is running, but it's renewed from time to time. The last renewal was in the end of 2013. In December, we have adopted, well, the Commission has proposed, but Council and Parliament has adopted two legal bases, is the TEN-T guidelines, which defines the network and all the terminology, and the maps, for instance, are there, where we can finance, because we cannot finance everywhere, and also defines the CEF. The CEF is the other legal base, lasts only 7 years, and defines which are the funding, the budgets, and the financial instruments. And also defined the corridors. I come to this in a moment, because I know that you have here a concern in Asturias. Okay, now the trans-European networks, as I said, contain, as I said, the guidelines contain the member states, including islands and some outermost regions. Europe has also outermost regions, you know, which are linked to certain member states. I think Spain also has. So this is all covered by the maps. Then the Connecting Europe facility. As I said, this is mainly the budget and financial instruments, but it also defines the corridors, which are a subset of the TEN-T network. Is only a part. It's not, and also since the Connecting Europe facility is not just transport, there's also the energy and ICT part. But transport is the biggest part, is 26 billion of the 33 billion, which is in the current framework program for this 7 years until 2020. Is most of it's budget for transport. But there's also energy and ICT, the internet, basically. I mentioned this here because for the synergy project, we overlap the sectors. And there it becomes important what also the energy people do. Because if we combine two sectors, we have to obey both the rules of both sectors or of three sectors. It's very complex to apply. And in this particular point, we have the energy PCIs. If we want to have a synergy project including a budget line from energy, we need an overlap between the PCIs, is the list of projects of common interest of the energy people, together with the TEN-T network. And this was quite a challenge. But we are working on improving this, because it was very difficult to apply. Yes, I think we fund mainly infrastructure, but nowadays also vehicles. And vehicles, I mean the things which are moving. Is the vehicle is on the road is the truck, the car, but it's also ships, inland barges, airplanes, and trains, because we fund all modes of transport under TEN-T. We have the network concerning all modes of transport. Yes? And then we have this hardcore infrastructure, as I mentioned, digging holes in the ground, but also soft topics like innovation, motorways of the sea, logistics, transport management systems. The program is so large, we have a transport managing system we fund for each mode. If you heard about CESA, is for the airplanes, you know. This is one of our projects. So you can imagine it's a very large program. We have a budget of, as I said, in transport of 26 billion, but we are managing or coordinating in this 7 years framework 250 billion. It's not only our money, it's from the ministries directly, but also from industry. So it's a very large program. Okay, now we come to some nicer things to look at, the maps. It's always, we say a picture says more than 1,000 words. We have here 3 pictures. You see on the left side the corridors, the 9 core network corridors of the TEN-T, and in different colors. This is all available on the internet. You can download these pictures and use them in your presentations, no problem. And you can see here, if we go look at the European map, we have 9 corridors, east to west, north to south, and also diagonally. So you see that these corridors connect all the member states and the major cities and centers. You see that Asturias is in the corner up, is not on the yellow corridor. The yellow corridor is the Atlantic corridor. This is the set of corridors of the CEF, Connecting Europe Facility, legal base from 2014 to 2020. We are now preparing, or we have already proposed from the Commission, the CEF2 is the next CEF from 21 to 27, 2027. And in here, we have connected Asturias. This is the proposal of the Commission, is not yet adopted. You know that we propose, then we negotiate with the member states, Council, and with the Parliament, European Parliament. Yeah, it's democracy. It's not just we decide, it's the Parliament and the Council decides. We only propose. So we propose that Asturias is included in the corridor. Okay? Whether it's adopted, we'll see. But, I mean, it's up to you also to say to the Spanish ministry in Madrid that you want this. It's clear. It's obvious. So, this is the good news. But you see also on the right side, there are 2 more maps. We have the detailed maps you see on the right side, the 2, is the top one in red, is the road network, 10T, and on below, it's the, I have to check, is the rail passenger network, and we have also there the ports, the anchors, the anchors, and airports are also on the top. In the road network is the airplanes, is clear. It's very clear to read. And the thick lines are the core network, and the thin lines are the comprehensive network. All these maps are online on the TEN-TEC system. You can zoom in, it's interactive. And you can add all the different modes, and you can play with this, and you can see your region, you can zoom. It's nice to look at. You can even do this on your phone. Just put in TEN-TEC EC, and you go directly to this. Just to show to you that, and these maps have been created end of 2013, when we did the guidelines. The guidelines, by the way, do not change now. That means these maps, on the right side, they do not change. Because they are in the 10T guidelines, which we are not changing. The 10T guidelines last 20 years. Because, of course, we cannot change every few years. The network is not possible. Yeah? The corridors are just a subset of the network. And you can see this here on the right side, on the top. You see that Asturias is on the network. You can see that on the red lines and on the green lines. It was just not included in the corridor. And now we propose to include also some of these trajectories you see on the right side into the corridor. Okay? So that is just to explain a little bit. And we have here another set of maps. This is on the top, you see inland waterways, so the whole, there are very few in Spain on our network. You have rivers, but they have to be big enough to have the boats on. Then we have it on the network. This is the Douro River, but also all the ports are there again. And then below you see the rail network again, but this time is the focus on freight, because rail freight is sometimes different from rail passenger, right? Because in rail passenger you have high speed, and you cannot put the high speed on the same line with the cargo trains. It's not good. So that's why sometimes the network is different. So we have on the bottom the green, it's the dark green is freight. And the light green from the previous slide is passenger. Just for completeness, the left side is the same corridor. Okay, let's go now to the battery, electric. We are funding, the Commission in funding alternative fuels, we are fuel neutral. Yes, we're not just funding battery electric, we fund also hydrogen electric and the usage of natural gas. I know Arturo does not like me to talk about hydrogen and LNG, CNG, but we are, from the policy, we are neutral. Yes, it's clear. We have projects in each sector, of course, and we let the market sort out what is the best solution, because I'm sure there will be different solutions for different problems. You cannot have one suit everything. For instance, for the big ships, we have LNG and CNG, and Spain is much leading in this. Your ports are severely upgraded for LNG ships, so, and also for equipment in ports. Spain is very strong on LNG, leading basically. But here this slide is focusing on battery electric. What I did here, on the left, on the right side, you see again a nice map. I don't know if you see this from everywhere. Let me summarize this. This is basically the map of the fast charging in Europe. And this was, the date is end of 2017. Until then, we put the points which were operational and publicly accessible fast charging. Not slow charging, only fast. Slow will be too much. It's just the fast charging. And we are not funding any more slow charging. We are only funding fast charging and ultra charging and synergy. And of the 3,739, well, roughly 4,000 fast charging charging points, not stations, points. A station could have several points. More than half were funded by the CEF and TEN-T program. So you see we have a very big impact. and I'm proud of this, and the Commission is very happy to be, and we are funding this since 2010. Not just now, everybody now wants to be on board, but 2010. And I started writing the legal base in 2008. One has to be in good governments, look ahead and prepare the legal base ahead of the problem, not when the problem arrives. This is the sign of a good government. And I think here the Commission did a very good job. We looked ahead and we did the right thing, basically. And of course, you did the infrastructure, not us, but we at least set the frame and we put the budget that companies can come in, and it was much taken up. And here, just a summary, we had these are only real-life trials here. The blending stations are not on here yet, because it's contracts again until the end of last year. The blending we have spent now, the 2.5 billion we are spending now, is not included because the contracts at this time were not signed. They were signed this year in summer, the first contract. So they're not in here. The next update of this map will look even much better. And here I want to say we have funded real-life trials, a lot of real-life trials, and we funded then also the rollouts. I will come with a few examples to show you what I mean. And finally, also a synergy in battery electric. Just some examples, and I use some examples to honor you a bit and to show that Spain is on board. I use projects where Spain is a partner. Of course, we have more projects, but we have 112 projects funded in real-life trials. But here, Spain, to show you that Spain is on board, is not that you are behind, is very good. I'm sure some of you know the SIRF project, 2015, the call, with 18 stations. It's twinned with Portugal. In Portugal, there's also a SIRF project, so the Iberian Peninsula has been nicely working together. And you see here the locations of the multi-standard fast chargers. I say multi-standard to make a point here. Of course, we have in the EU a standard. It has been decided in 2014. It's the CCS. It is the standard of the Union. So any station you want funded from us has to have CCS. You can add other plugs if you like, but CCS has to be there. To make it very clear. It's not ambiguous. It's clear. This is the standard. We have agreed, all the member states and the parliament, and this is the standard. Full stop. Okay? That's it. There's no more discussion. You can add Chademo, you can add whatever you like on top. Even you can add a Tesla if you like. Do whatever you like, but there will be CCS. That's it. There's no more discussion, just to make it very clear. Okay, this is now the real-life trial. We funded with 50%. Real-life trials we fund with 50%. Then the next slide shows, again, the map. Now it's Spain working together with other countries. We have here eVia and Flex-E mobility in Spain, France, and Italy. This is, again, a real-life trial. You can see it from the funding. Half is paid by the Commission. 50% is always a real-life trial. It's a study with integrated deployment in legal terms. And here, coordinator is Italy, is Enel is here also, NLX now, how they call themselves. This is the innovative arm of Enel. And here we funded ultracharging. So here, okay, there are only 4 stations in Spain, but still is the start. This was in 2016. Yeah, the year always says that is the year of the call. So this is 2016, the call year, and then the project started in July 2017. You see all these fiches you can find on the web. If you go to CEF Innovation, you get all these nice overviews. Next slide. I still have some time. Yeah. Now, this next slide shows Europe E. This is now different. This is not a trial. This is now a rollout. This is the new type, where we use only 20% grant money, and the rest is private. Is the Junkers, the FC, the banks come on board, so to say. These are the rollouts, and you can see already they are much larger in number of stations, number of partners, and budget. This has been part of the 2017 call, so you see we're going newer and coming closer to today. In 2017, the call, this is from the first deadline. The blending call of 2017 had 2 deadlines, right? One in, I think, end of 2017. No, one in July 2017 and one in April 2018. The first deadline, we have signed the contracts now already, the grant agreements. But financial closure is done right now till the end of the year. So this project is on the brink of starting. They say already start date July 2017, which is okay. You know that you can start the project on the date or on and after the date you have submitted your proposal. If you're funded, it can be backdated. You see, this is always in 10T. You can backdate to the submission date of your project. So the deadline was in July, so they can start in July, because that's when they submitted their proposal. You see what I mean? This is the, okay, if you go to the website, you see all these details, how to apply. Anyway, so this is a huge project, as you can see, 13 member states, 13 member states inside. And this project, the rollout, is based on a number of real-life trials in the different countries. You can see this in the proposal, that they have said the experience from the real-life trials in the different regions. So they were different on the map. In different regions, there were trials. Because in the trials, you can stay in one country. You don't have to be in 2 countries. You go in your own region. So Asturias could do a trial. You don't need to collaborate with another country, because innovation is difficult enough. So that's why on my proposal we waived the obligation of 2 countries, which we normally have, for trials, okay? In the trial, you know, you do, I come to this slide, what is the essence? You prepare the rollout, basically. And what is nice here, this is what I want to say on this map, what it shows. It shows that the trials in different regions gained experience, local experience, and then they joined together to do the rollout together. You see what I mean? Thereby creating joint tendering, economies of scale, roaming. Yeah? This is the way forward. I always say we are like little China. All we have to do is work together. We are 500 million people. This is a very large number. If we work together, we have the same size. And our citizens are more wealthy. So it's not just money, it's coordination. Coordination is key. And another thing which is shown on this map is, you know that when we did start with alternative fuels, the non-cohesion countries were in advance. Germany, the Nordic, the UK, and so on. And the cohesion countries started 4 years later, right? But through the coordination and bringing people together, the rollout starts in all the countries. This is just Europe E. It's more bound Western, but we have another ultracharging rollout called Central European High Power Charging. So all the Eastern countries are also involved. So we do the rollout, though they started at different points in time, the rollout we do together. You understand what I'm saying? Is that this European dimension, which we have organized also from the Commission, with your help, of course, resulted in that we have enormous leverage. We do the rollout together. I think this is remarkable. Honestly, it's a very good thing. Then we're in the synergy part already. This is what I wanted to say. This is the list of synergy projects funded. A lot of details. Just 2 points I want to make. First of all, we have very high success rates in our calls, in all of our calls. Not like in research, 10% or 20%. We fund 50, 70% of the proposals. Because what do? We put a large budget, big enough, and we restrict or we make it difficult to apply, so that when you make the effort to apply, you have a very high chance to be funded. You see what I'm saying to you? You invest time, but the reward is very high, because we select, and here we selected of the 9 eligible projects on Synergy, we selected 7. 7 out of 9 is a very high selection rate, I think. Right? Okay, we were very generous here, because it's not just the money, it's the policy behind this, you see? We know what we're doing, basically. That's why we can afford high funding rates. Yeah? We don't put a haystack and throw the needle and then try to find the needle. This is crazy. Sorry, this is waste of time. And you are companies, you're not in research. Huh? So you have to survive, so time is money. We cannot let companies apply and then only 10% selection rate. This is crazy. It's a waste of money and time. We don't do this. And the other point I want to make is here, you can see here, all the countries are involved. We have Cyprus and Greece. Do you see that? So the innovative people, they are everywhere. Everywhere. Right? These are the most advanced projects. They bring together energy and transport. They all have a central storage of the energy, and then when the grid needs power, they balance the grid or they feed into the grid, and when the grid is full, they sell expensively to the transport sector, creating thereby a dual income stream. Getting quicker to viability, right? This is the point. We are not funding research, we are funding deployment. Research and demos are funded by the research program. We fund deployment. The preparation of deployment, which is real-life trials, and then the rollout, the final deployment on large scale. This is all we fund. And here you see one project, the storage is hydrogen, one time it's battery electric, or batteries, and 4 times it's gas. And one time it's kinetic energy. It's from the Slovenians, by the way, or no, Croatia. It's Croatia. I have not been to check the one with the kinetic energy. It's very interesting. Anyway. I want to come here to the one which is closest to your hearts, is the Synergy, is the one where they use batteries as a central storage. And they, as I said, deal with the grid and with transport. This is coordinated by Jan Kupal and Eva Plunger from what is the large energy provider in Austria. Very interesting project. It's very closely linked to ultracharging. Very closely linked. So this is also for you something to consider. They do basically, and they earn a lot of money with doing a service for the grid, but I don't want to go into too much details here. Maybe they don't want me to give their secrets away, but they will disseminate anyway, and maybe you can go there to meet them and go to their website. It's basically frequency stabilization, because the batteries are not big enough to, balance the grid. They just do frequency stabilization, and I'm sure experts here will know what this means and how expensive and difficult this is with a normal power plant. Okay. Now this is the slide. How do we organize strong private investment in TEN-T? This is, I mentioned a bit about this, but this is the slide summarizing this. In TEN-T, we can fund studies and works. This is the legal term. And the studies in TEN-T include some digging, to put it gently. For instance, when we build a huge tunnel, which costs billions, we do a pilot tunnel to check the ground, the stones. They are checked. So they make a small tunnel, and then they go inside and then They go with a hammer. I don't know what they do. Anyway, it's very expensive. And they put the pilot tunnel. And this mechanism we use to finance innovation by a study which has 50% funding intensity. We allow deployment, how I call it. For the lawyers, work deployment is different from works. Okay, this is a trick. But anyway, deployment so that you can put already a pilot, that you can not just put paper, that you have stations and vehicles in order to do something which is important, which I call market-sided innovation. In English, it's market-oriented, I know this, but I call it market-sided. I know I'm finishing. It's just one more slide. Market-sided versus research-sided. For me, innovation is just a blob, you know, and all the topics are in there. The importance is who is in the driving seat, who is the coordinator, who are the people who push. And if it's research-sided, it's researchers. They look at the research and they say, hey, we have done this 10 years ago, I published this, blah, blah, blah. We are not interested in this. We want business people to be in the driving seat. And the business people, they look at their clients. You see? They look at their clients and their needs. Because if you don't understand your clients' needs, you're never going to do a mass market rollout. It's impossible. Also, you have to do a dual optimization, which has to be done in a trial. When you write a proposal, you have to write this, that you do a dual optimization. You optimize, not research, you optimize the technology to bring unit costs down, because if the unit costs are not down, you never sell to the market. It's impossible. Yeah? And you also optimize, equally important, the business-client relation. You have to understand your client's needs, otherwise you'll never do a rollout. And you have to have a billing system, which you don't have in demos often. And at the end of the trial, a deliverable of the contract is the business plan for the rollout. And with that, you come to the bank, you come to us for the blending. This is the recipe, and it has worked fabulously, we say in English. I was told it is not working, but in the last call, 2017, it worked. We have the trials which generated all these blending proposals and blending projects. And we are in the middle of the rollout for all three fuels, for battery electric, for gas, and for hydrogen. Because in the trials, they did the dual optimization, and with this, they could go to the banks and get the support. Because the risk was significantly reduced. Because people could prove to the investors, experiments are over, we know what we're doing. And only then you get the bank on board. I'm sorry, it's clear. Huh? And we are using Junkers, we use FC, all these things you see in the news, we use to get budgets. Okay, this is now the future opportunities. We have currently an open call. Digitization of transport, I call it, 450 million. These are real-life trials, but it's only digitization. It is not the fuel station, it's the roaming, for instance, is the automation, autonomous driving. And the deadline is already in the 24th of October. It's all published on the internet, how to apply. Our info day, all the slides and talks are there, so you can still apply there. Then we have preparing the work program 2019. It's only preliminary, has not been adopted yet. But here we will have, again, a call for real-life trials, meaning 50% funding intensity, but it's restricted to rail noise and cross-border infrastructure projects, so no stations. We are working now on the blending facility, also for next year, early next year, and here it will be a kind of blending type, so 20% funding, but much more simplified application procedure, 350 million is the budget, so it's not small either. So here are opportunities which are coming up for next year. The next big call, blending call, will be in 2020, because we have backflows of monies, which we don't have this year. We expected this for this year, but we didn't get it. And there we will focus on ERTMS, which is the transport management system for rail. Okay, is maybe not you, but and then also I put on last Friday I put in some wording so that we can also have alternative fuel stations. So and vehicles. So let's see if it works. The member states have to agree, the Commission, and it's only very preliminary. But you can see we are working on this. That there's every year a call. So start preparing now. There will be a call. I mean, it is for sure. This is now my last slide. And of course, also there is the CEF2 proposal, which I just mentioned at the start. And there we have the new corridors defined. So there will be the extension to Asturias, but also other extensions, of course. You can look this up on the web. It's ready for download. The Commission has proposed this recently. There's also a strong update on innovation, budget-wise. We had now only 5% of budget earmarked for innovation, and in the new program, the proposal is 40%. 40% of these billions will be earmarked for soft topics, innovation, motorways of the sea, multimodal terminals. So there will be a lot of money available and continuity for the type of funding you're interested in. And there's also will be a simplification in the sense that synergy project will be much more facilitated. Energy, transport, ICT to bring together, which is now difficult in the current legal frame. Thank you for your attention.